What's up, Banter fam? Welcome back to the show. In today's show, I am going to be explaining 5 altcoins that I will be buying if Bitcoin hits this key level that I am going to show you guys. This is essentially my alpha plan for the next month. So the 4 major narratives, or the 5 major narratives that I've got my eye most closely on, and the reasons why they could potentially perform well if Bitcoin hits this price level. So the first thing I want to do is actually go through the price level that I am looking at to load up on some of these altcoins. And then after we've gone through the TA and looked at the Bitcoin price and these key levels, then I'll go through the 5 altcoins and narratives that I think could perform well. And I'll explain my logic exactly why. In fact, one of the altcoins in today's video, I'm actually buying right now, today, before Bitcoin even hits its level, because I think it is an opportunistic time to start DCAing into this altcoin. So we're starting this year with a bang. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click the notification bell if you haven't clicked it already, so you know when we are uploading videos to stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrency content. Let's get straight into it. So on yesterday's show, I gave you guys my full market update. So if you haven't watched that, go and watch that video. I kind of give you a bit of insight into what my exact sentiment is right now in terms of where I think the market is headed. And in yesterday's video, I pre-specified a level that I thought we'd get very close to hitting before potentially pulling back. And that was this clear green zone here at 21,750. And we actually touched just at the bottom of this green zone here before actually rejecting. So right now, Bitcoin rejected off this level. A lot of people were saying, oh, it looks like a bull flag. It might smash straight through, but it didn't. We actually did end up getting that pullback. So now the question really is, how far is Bitcoin going to pull back? Will it simply kind of resume an upwards trend from this level and break through? Or will it simply come back down to 20 or 19K and retest? And I don't even think you need to answer that question to be a successful trader with today's strategy that I'm going to show you. Because the strategy for today's video is to get involved with altcoins that are showing relative strength versus the rest of the market, or altcoins that we think capital could rotate into at confirmation of Bitcoin's price level. And to do this, you don't need to predict whether the market is going up or down. All you need to do is confirm that we're in a bullish upwards trend. And I believe that we are. And right now, for that reason, because I think we're in a bullish upwards trend, I'm not shorting this market. The only thing I'm doing right now is longing altcoins. I'm not really interested in the small short scalp trades right now. If I'm going to be opening a trade at the moment, it has to be long. And this is, of course, based on the current data that we have. If we break key levels, I could flip short, but I'm always adaptive in my thesis. And I'm always going to be trading with the momentum of the market. I think that was a major lesson that we learned last year. You can't fight momentum. When the market was going down and down and down, and you were trying to long and long and long, that was obviously a major mistake. And the exact same thing is happening on a shorter scale right now. The market is going up. So in general, unless we break key levels, we have to trade with the momentum of the market. The trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And if the trend is upwards, that means that we have to look at long opportunities. And if we're looking at long opportunities, there are 2 key levels where we can look to accumulate. The first key level is on the retest of the current zone that we're in, which is this white zone here between 21.17 and 21.6. This is a zone that if we potentially break out of right now and then come and retest, could be a decent place to load up on altcoins. And then you've got this second zone in the 19K region, which if we come down and test, could be another decent zone to load up on altcoins. This would be a more severe correction, but that is another zone that I'm looking at as a potential place to start longing. So these are my 2 kind of long scenarios. The green scenario, which is the most bullish scenario, where we shoot straight through and then retest. You're buying on the retest. And then there's the more bearish scenario, which is still kind of bullish, where we come down and retest this key level. And these are the key levels since the FTX collapse that I am currently looking at. And then, of course, we have mid-range, which is the 20K range, which is another level that you may want to consider starting to DCA into. And of course, we're going to have to trade this accordingly. We're going to have to trade this in tandem with how the market is moving. If the market is showing severe signs of bearishness, we can scale out of positions. If the market's getting more bullish, we look to load up on retests. But the important thing to note is that if the trend is bullish, then you want to trade more long than you are trading short. And when you are trading long, you only want to do so on corrections. You don't want to do so on pumps. You don't want to do so on green candles. You only want to buy pullbacks. So this is why I have the 2 levels specified here for potential pullbacks. So now you kind of have my thinking and my thought process behind what Bitcoin is doing. In yesterday's video, I went over Ethereum and Bitcoin, and went over the relative strength trades if you're more interested in trading that more in depth. But these are my key Bitcoin levels. Now we can go into the 5 altcoins that I think could exhibit relative strength, and the coins that, if you are going to buy something, maybe you consider buying these over other altcoins for the reasons that I'll specify today. So before we get into those 5, remember, if you do want to trade some of this volatility and trade this movement, you can do so on Gains Network, which is a decentralized crypto exchange. They actually just came out with gold and silver pairs today, and they also came out with indices pairs, so for the Dow Jones and the S&P as well. So they're kind of a diversified stocks, forex, and cryptocurrency exchange, which is very cool. So if you want to trade on a DEX, and I recommend doing so due to the security benefits you have of trading on a non-custodial exchange and not having your funds on a centralized exchange, then I think GNS or Gains Network is a great option. And of course, there's a link in the description to Gains Network if you want to A, support the channel by trading on the link, but B, take advantage of all the pairs and the very high leverage options and the flexibility that GNS actually offers. So if you want to trade any of this volatility, you can do so over there. Let's get straight into it with the 5 altcoins that I'm currently looking at if we do hit those Bitcoin levels. Let's get into it. All right, the first one's DYDX. Now, this is a controversial one because a lot of people are fudding this right now. There's a lot of FUD around DYDX. I see on my Twitter, big unlock, I'm shorting. I'm seeing that the sentiment for this token is not very good at all. But I'm actually using that to my advantage because there's a trend that has often happened recently when it comes to unlocks, and this is the bullish unlock trend. So it's where so much of the market, so many market participants are expecting bearishness. So many market participants are actually shorting into an unlock that an unlock becomes bullish. Because what happens is insiders, before the unlock date, manipulate the price, or they have a vested interest to push the price up so they can get a better sell price. And then when the market realizes that the impact of the selling is not as severe as they anticipated, because they're anticipating severity, then the token actually often pumps on the very day that it unlocks. And when we look at the token unlock schedule, we can see that 15% of the total supply is unlocking in 15 days or 14 days, which is a huge amount of the total supply. So on face value, this is a reason to be extremely bearish on DYDX, because 15% of the supply is hitting the market in 14 days, but we can't think of it that linearly. We have to look at how the market will actually react to this. And in my opinion, based on previous evidence we've had from tokens like ApeCoin, when they've had a major unlock, the token often actually goes up. Now, the major caveat to this is in a bear market, there is less demand side pressure to actually counter the supply side. So in a bear market, it's much harder for demand to cancel out that supply. But here's the major difference. We are going right now through a wave of bullishness. And it's not like we are just dumping, and we're in a very severe bear trend at the moment. As we just saw before, we're actually in a short-term uptrend. And because we're in a short-term uptrend, for now, this, I guess, from the long directional perspective, isn't a terrible time to have a DYDX unlock in terms of the price actually going up. But I totally get the argument that it would be a bearish unlock in a severe bear market. But right now, because we're experiencing bullishness, it's to me looking like it could be a bullish unlock. Now, I don't know. I'm just making a guess. But for me, it's something I'm considering buying. And I said I'd reveal an altcoin that I'm buying now. And DYDX is honestly just one of them. I'm adding this to my bags right now. I'm adding this to my bags at a key level that I'll show you in a second. Because I think that shorting unlocks is becoming a pretty crowded trade, just like Victor says here, and that these days unlocks can actually be bullish. Most parties getting unlocks are hedged from long ago. Reduce your IQ in current conditions as much as possible. Literally, you kind of have to do the opposite of what you think will happen. And kind of another reason I'm taking this trade is because oftentimes what happens is when altcoins unlock, the day that they unlock, they often make a big announcement. Now, they do this for a couple of reasons, but the major reason they do this is to kind of try and mitigate some of the supply coming onto the market. So I would not be surprised if DYDX's V4 tokenomics or a big design upgrade is actually announced on the unlock day to try and mitigate some of the supply side pressure. So that is also something to look out for. Whether they come out with a strategic announcement like ApeCoin did on the day of the unlock, to kind of add just a bit of bullishness to quell the token supply. So 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝐿𝑖𝑜naire said he's buying some DYDX around this level, expecting a pre-unlock rally if Bitcoin continues. This is a pre-unlock rally. It's not a rally that's going to happen on the unlock itself. It might continue a few days after, but this isn't like a super like long-term thing. It may very well peak prior to the unlock. And he said it will close this if we take the L and lose this level on H4 and higher. The levels that I'm seeing though, is the 1.2 level to the 1.25 level. And then you've got this other key level of $1. Obviously, if we shoot through this, then that is kind of your last chance to load up on DYDX. If it breaks that, then trade's over, guys. Game's over. But these are the two key levels that I'm going to trade on a potential or trade in anticipation of a potential bounce. So that's the first one I'm looking at. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you agree, also let me know in the comments. But I do think that's a trade I'm willing to take. Small percentage of my portfolio, of course, but yeah, just adding a bit of DYDX to the portfolio at the moment. All right, the second thing, the second altcoin that I want to discuss right now is Frax share. It's FXS. Now, this has been a very bullish token over the last few weeks. So if we actually look at the Frax share price over the last month, it has run up significantly. So this is one of those coins that I wouldn't be buying now, but if Bitcoin has this pullback that it could have, and the pullback that I'm pre-specifying in this chart, this is one that you could look to load up on in this level. Because hopefully we do get a pullback from some of these LSD, which is the liquid staking derivative tokens. Because the liquid staking derivative tokens, they're running hot right now ahead of the Shanghai upgrade. And what the Shanghai upgrade is going to do is enable redemptions of staked Ethereum on the Beacon chain, which in my opinion is a huge incentivization for people to stake Ethereum. I think Ethereum staking is going to experience a massive surge post Shanghai upgrade. However, just because it has a massive surge post Shanghai upgrade doesn't necessarily mean that the LSD coins perform well, because this again is kind of a crowded trade. I mean, it's very, very popular at the moment. We can see a lot of the staked derivatives right now have gone up a lot, 15, 20, 30% over the past week, over the past 2 weeks. Some of them are up 40, 50, 60%. So they've come up a lot. That's one of the reasons why I'm waiting for a pullback on these, but it doesn't mean that the narrative can keep running. Just because something's hot doesn't mean that it's necessarily over. I do think there is a little bit more juice to squeeze out of the fruit here of the LSD narrative if we do get a pullback, because then these will likely be the ones that bounce because these have relative strength. So I don't think it's over. I don't think you've missed I do think you've missed the major trade here for that first 40%, but I don't think you've missed the next trade on a pullback, because these will likely come down, give you an opportunity to load up again. And FXS is just one of them that I am looking at most heavily. You've got Lido as well, you've got 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗏 as well, but Frax is kind of a little more, I don't know what the word is, kind of in-depth, because there's multiple things happening. There's also some convex demand side stuff happening with the curve pools. They're launching their own initiatives. They also reduced emissions. I really like the team. Just overall, I just like the project more. This is, by the way, a project I'm holding long term. So this will be a spot buy, maybe less so of a trade, like some of the other tokens in today's show. But FXS will likely be something I just add spot, because I'm bullish on the token long term, and the Frax ETH supply is increasing a lot. So a lot of people are staking Frax ETH, which has been bullish for the protocol. We can see kind of a parabolic increase in the supply here, which is very good from an underlying fundamental perspective. And also the Frax swap volume is also increasing. So their swapping function is starting to do record volume, and we know how revenue is distributed to Frax holders. And another thing to note about Frax is just the UI is so good. Barry said, well, everyone's horned up on FXS. I just need to say that the design plus copy for Frax Fairy is adorable. Most things in crypto are so blunt and utilitarian. It's rare to see something built with even a small amount of joy and humanity. And I would agree. They put a lot of attention to detail to UI, and that's one of the reasons why I like their protocols. Jordy says, just like me, he expects ETH staking to explode after Shanghai, but he says that he thinks the tokens are overvalued in anticipation, because revenue's not going to change much, because reward yields will plunge as staking goes up. And this is true. The more people that stake, the lower the reward on Ethereum, which means revenue is not going to actually change much for a lot of these protocols, as maybe is being anticipated. And I would tend to agree with him, but this is kind of a post-Shanghai sentiment. And I think in the short term, there could be there could be a sustained run-up of some of these tokens, which obviously, if you can get a good entry on them, just makes sense to kind of get involved with playing the narrative if you can. I mean, I know a lot of you have missed it, but it's still something I'm looking at. So, all right, let's get into number 3. I just need to do a disclaimer before number 3. I am talking about a project that sponsors the show, but I'm not sponsored to talk about the token. This is completely independent of the show sponsorship. It's, of course, Gains Network, which is the show's sponsor. We have a referral link, but they don't pay me to talk about the token. I do hold some of the token, but I have no paid vested interest to talk about the token. Just want to make that clear because obviously we're sponsored by Gains Network, and yeah, just wanted to clear that up. But Gains token itself, I do think is looking good. It's actually up 10% today, which is annoying because last night I was planning this show and I actually started looking at buying some gains, and that was, it's just so annoying because it's gone up 11% since I started planning the show, and I didn't even get a chance to buy any. And as soon as I woke up this morning and started prepping my show notes, it had already gone up 11%, which is quite annoying. But I still think gains on a pullback is going to be a good one. I mean, it kind of just shows that my logic was spot on here at least. So even though we didn't get the entry quite yet, but I do think on a pullback following in tandem with the rest of the plan, I think Gains Network could perform well. And that's because they're shipping a lot of very cool code and very cool product offerings that I just don't see many other perpetual DEXs shipping. So they obviously released their pairs for the Dow Jones, the S&P, and today we got gold and silver. They've also been deploying on Arbitrum. We can see the revenue on Arbitrum here has been insane. So just after 2 weeks, they had $500 million in volume, reaching $75 million in volume a day, over $50K a day in fees. We know a percentage is distributed back to GNS stakers. The DAI vault is bulging with $11 million in cash. They're just in a very good position. If we look at the balance sheet, it looks very strong. If you look at the revenue growth, it looks very strong. As I said, they've released indices, which gives people more flexibility to trade. But a really interesting part about Gains Network right now is crypto dominance is decreasing, but Forex and stock trading is increasing. Why is this bullish? Because Forex and stocks open Gains Network up to an entire new market that isn't necessarily crypto exclusive. So in my opinion, having Forex, having stocks that can entice non-crypto users and non-crypto participants potentially gives them access to a whole plethora of new users that aren't necessarily crypto native, but may like the flexibility of trading on a decentralized exchange and may like the speed and the efficiency that comes with trading on a decentralized exchange. Because if you try and trade stocks, a lot of the time you're going to be hit with a lot of kind of regulatory issues, depending on the country you live in, but also an inefficiency in terms of time. A lot of stock trading takes, minutes to settle and in some cases a matter of days to settle if you're trading spot stocks. And a lot of countries have heaps of restrictions on trading stocks and Forex, depending on where you live. So the benefits of trading on a decentralized exchange are massive. I don't need to go through them because you guys know the benefits of decentralization, but it's very fast and very efficient to trade on something like GNS versus, let's say, a brokerage like Robinhood that's going to charge you a $10-$20 fee, and it's going to have really long settlement times. So opening up to this new market by these new pairs, in my opinion, is quite bullish long-term for GNS. And we're already starting to see, crazily, the volume on these pairs start to flip crypto. Especially the Forex side, which has been quite impressive. So GNS is just one that I think if we get this pullback, I'll look to add some more spot GNS to my bags in tandem with the previous chart that all these altcoins are following, in my opinion. GNS is one, but it did pump. And as I said, I'm annoyed because I was looking at this last night and then I woke up this morning and it's up 11%. It's okay. I do have long-term spot GNS holdings, which that's good. I get the benefit on that side, but in terms of this video, I was hoping to give it to you guys a little bit lower, but that's all right because we're following the trade plan that we've pre-specified anyway, and to be honest, we're not in that zone anyway. So who knows if we would have bought irrespective. All right, the next altcoin, and this is actually number 4 and number 5 because this comprises of multiple altcoins. This strategy is the Bluebird Index. Now, what the Bluebird Index is, if you don't know what it is BNB, Doge, and Mask all comprised into one indice on the Binance exchange. So what this index aims to do is track the performance of BNB, track the performance of Doge, and track the performance of Mask through an index, and they're all weighted differently. So the index, you can look at the exact weightings, but it's roughly 51% BNB, 41% Doge, and 6% Mask. Now, Bluebird has lagged behind the rest of the market. It actually dropped harder than the rest of the market as well. So for me, this is a relative strength trade. If we do hit those Bitcoin levels, I'm looking to enter Bluebird for a couple of reasons. First reason, risk profile. Because it's automatically siphoning off into 3 different risk profiles, you've got BNB, that's kind of the safer one. You've got Doge, which is a slightly riskier one. And you've got Mask, which is the really risky one. And having all 3 kind of balances the trade out into one risk profile, which I like, kind of medium risk. So that's the first benefit. And secondly, we're also looking at where capital is going to rotate next. And since this has been lagging and also dropped quite heavily, and also is on the Binance exchange, the biggest exchange in crypto, I think it could be a beneficiary that could perform well of some positive market momentum. Because remember, all these trades are based on positive market momentum. They're based on a bounce. We get our entry after a dip. We buy on pullbacks only buy on pullbacks. But then we're trading the positive momentum bounce. And I do think this is a index that could bounce strongly if we do hit off those key levels. And of course, remember, there's also invalidation levels. You know, I don't know how. Look, A, it depends on how much leverage you're using. B, it depends on your risk tolerance. But of course, set your stop losses. So somewhere under the zone where you buy, you do want to set a stop. I would maybe say it's like 18K Bitcoin, but it really just depends on how much leverage you're using. If you're just buying spot, then maybe you can just hold it and ride it. If you're trading like 2, 3, 4x leverage, you can maybe set like a 20% stop, or maybe you just kind of let yourself get liquidated. I don't recommend it, but if you're an experienced trader, that is a definite strategy. But if you're using higher leverage, like 10, 20x leverage, I don't necessarily recommend that for this trade, by the way, at all. But if you're going to and you need to take that much risk, then your stop's going to be a lot tighter. So just remember, if you're taking these trades, you do want to specify a stop loss. It just depends totally on your risk tolerance. That's why I can't give you one. For me, might sit somewhere under these previous wicks at 18K. Because that would mean our buys are at like 18.9. It might even be higher. It might even be at 18.5 because that means we're losing momentum. That's for the red scenario. For the green scenario, where we pump and then we kind of retest, my stop loss would probably be around where we are right now, at around 2,700. Because if we break this, then we likely go back down to 20K. Gives me an option to start DCAing again in the mid-range at this line here at 20K. So yeah, I'd kind of set my stop there if we do follow the green scenario, just in case we're invalidated. Because remember, if we do get invalidated, we want to be able to protect our capital. This isn't a Hail Mary trade. None of this video is a Hail Mary. It's basically just trading momentum and buying coins that we think could do well if the market continues upwards. And if it goes down, it's fine. Because, okay, sure, we lose a little bit. It would suck. But at least we're protecting ourselves. And that's why risk management is super important in crypto. And Joby just said, fastest way to ruin your life is loads of leverage. And I agree. So anyone looking to do 20x leverage on these coins, I mean, good luck to you. You can. I won't tell you no, because it's your life and you've got to make your own investment decisions. But I can tell you that I personally won't be doing that. So Bluebird's one of them. Bombay says if this turns out to be a decent correction, I imagine when he says decent correction, he's meaning the red scenario here. I'm buying a little bit of the dog coins. So he's interested in loading up on dog coins. And we did see SHIB actually explode and go up 21%. And part of the Bluebird index obviously is DogeCoin, which is only up 4%. So potentially Doge lagging behind SHIB could mean this discrepancy could even out. SHIB's got its L2, had a lot of hype behind it. Maybe we see some capital rotating to some of the other alts, but Bombay predicted it pretty much spot on with the 𝗕𝗏𝗃 26% and the SHIB 20%. But Doge lagging behind is part of the Bluebird index as well. Another part of the reason why I like the Bluebird index as a trade. So those are the 5 coins that I'm looking at, and those are the levels I'm looking at. Technically, it's 7 coins, but one's an index, so then I guess you could say it's 4. So we'll average it out and call it 5, but technically it's more. And then you also have the other plays underneath Frax, which you could also include under the Frax basket of kind of like Lido, Rocket Pool. Frax is my favorite, but you've also got those to kind of pick from. So yeah, if you want to trade any of these projects as well. Another place you can do so is Apex. They are limited in the pair, so you don't get everyone, but you do have Doge and you do have Bitcoin and ETH if you do want to trade the general plan. So you don't just need to trade the altcoins. These are just the alts I think could bounce. If you kind of want to trade more generally, kind of more trade an Ethereum Bitcoin bounce, you can do so on Apex, which is a decentralized exchange that is also non-custodial. So you get those same benefits of not trading on a centralized entity. They also utilize StarkX. So they essentially utilize a Starkware powered scalability engine. So they're very, very fast, and they have some of the lowest fees in crypto, with a maker fee of 0.02% and a taker fee of 0.05%. And the fact they're using Starkware means they're one of the fastest DEXs out there to execute trades. And funnily enough, Apex is actually Bybit affiliated. So you can enter the Apex exchange directly through Bybit, and they are partners, Bybit and Apex. So I do expect more integrations to come here long term. And that's one of the reasons why I like it as an exchange. Right now, the pairs are limited, as I said, but they're adding way more. Like when I first started talking about Apex, they had 4 pairs. Now they have almost 10, and I think they'll probably have 20 or 30 in the next couple of months. So I do like Apex as a place to trade as well. And you'll notice a trend here in my shows. I'm talking a lot about DEXs, trading on DEXs, because I've personally migrated a lot of my trading to DEXs and out of centralized exchanges. I do still use centralized exchanges for trading, by the way, but I like to do, I don't know, just to give you like a rough number, 40 to 50% on DEXs now, just to kind of spread my risk out a little bit, because if there's an exchange exploit on a centralized exchange, or there's some regulation where I can't get my money out, or they just ban my account, or my account gets hacked, at least I have some funds on a decentralized exchange. So that's part of the reason why I've decided to start talking more about Apex and GNS and some of these decentralized exchanges. And of course, there's links in the description to both. Whichever one you want to trade on, you can click the link in the description and get started trading on a decentralized exchange. And it's a very cool experience doing so. If you haven't done it before, definitely check out trading on a DEX, because it just feels, I don't know, it feels like we're actually utilizing crypto for what it should be utilized for, which is kind of like a very unique and fresh feeling. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this show. Remember, I'll be back every single day at 7 p.m. EST to give you guys the latest crypto alpha. And Wisdom tomorrow, by the way, is a big show because it's on Ethereum Shanghai upgrade. So I actually want to run through the entire narrative, the LSD narrative, in a bit more depth, much more depth actually, and talk about exactly what Shanghai is, why it's bullish for ETH, and what tokens it's going to affect, some of which aren't what you expect. That's all I'll say for now. Some of which aren't what you expect. I think it's going to affect some tokens which maybe a bit not obvious to the eye, but will become more obvious as Shanghai actually rolls out over the next couple of months. And yeah, that's for tomorrow's show at 7 p.m. EST. Until then, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.